Hello, this is Stampy, and welcome to another Let's Talk. Today I am doing another Let's Talk about the Better Together update. I have been trying to talk about other things as well, but I haven't really kind of spoke in general about my opinions on the Better Together update and the Bedrock engine now it's come out on Xbox. And because I spoke so much about it before it came out, I've had a whole lot of people asking me kind of what are my opinions on it now, have my opinions changed, and so yeah, I'm kind of doing a general discussion about it today, kind of giving my opinions on it and kind of talking about what I think some of the issues were with the way that it's been released. I think that maybe in the first long Let's Talk that I did, the hour long, I don't think like I made it clear enough why I made that video. Like I do talk about it in the video, you know, I talk about at a moment, you know, it might sound like I have an agenda in this video. Like the video was never meant to be, here are the pros and cons of this version, this is what is different. The point of that video was to basically say, hey, this version is not ready, and it's not a replacement to the current console editions, which is kind of almost the only version of Minecraft that I play on. That was the point of the video, and also to give feedback to the developers, you know, about things that are different and things that might need to be changed or improved going forward. And then the other video I did, which was about the menus and the user interface, was going much more into depth about that. And that video was basically, you know, almost just to the developers and something that other people might find interesting, and a lot of people did. I kind of, after that video, I realized that those videos don't really make sense. One, because it would be much better for me just to kind of message them directly, and also the developers are much smarter than that I am, you know, like I play the console edition a lot, so I, you know a lot about that version from like the player's point of view, and kind of I know, you know, why certain features mean more to me than they might do to other people and things along those lines. But in terms of developing the game, you know, there's really smart people that are making Minecraft on all versions, and they really don't need feedback from me. And I kind of realized that all of the stuff I'm talking about, either they aren't going to change and, you know, we just might disagree in terms of what we think is best for the game, or it might be a case that they just didn't have time to be able to improve it before it got released. And the thing that we're going to be finding out now in the future is what changes are going to be happening, what things are going to be improved, and what things are going to stay as the way that they are, just because the developers feel like, you know, there should be a change from the way things were at console edition, and they kind of want to leave them the way that they currently are on the Bedrock edition. So I kind of just wanted to say that I don't know, I feel like there's been a perception that I just hate this version, or I got something against it, or, you know, I just want to see it fail, which completely isn't the case. You know, the reason I made the videos is because I want that version to be as good as possible, because at some point in the future it looks like I'm really going to have no choice but to join that version. And, you know, I never really said anything bad about the version until it got to the point where it is essentially replacing my version. You know, for instance, I don't play the Java edition. I don't really like the Java edition compared to the console edition, but, you know, you never really hear me talking bad against the Java edition because, you know, it's never done anything to me. Like, it's always just been there. I can choose to play it or I can choose to not play it. This is a different case because it's almost being forced onto me, and I know I can technically still play the old versions on those platforms, but, you know, they're not going to be supported. They're not even for sale anymore. It's very obvious that their intention is that we switch over to this new version because this is going to be kind of the new one going forward. So, yeah, with that out of the way, let's kind of talk about the way it was released then. So something that I didn't really talk about in that first big video that I did was the bugs. I kind of had a brief point where I mentioned about all of the bugs that were in the Pocket Edition at the time, and I said that I'm sure that they're all going to be fixed because there's kind of almost a higher standard where it comes to consoles in terms of what is acceptable, in terms of the way a game should perform, and, you know, the fact that it really shouldn't crash on a console and the way it's kind of locked up. So I didn't really discuss that too much, but it seems like when it was released, this new version, there was possibly even more bugs than there was in the betas and on the Pocket Edition going forward. And it's always hard to tell because there are so many bugs, and most of the bugs we don't even notice. They're tiny things that don't really affect the gameplay, the behind the scenes things, and the devs might know about them. Maybe there's a bug which is there but it's not really affecting anything, so they leave it, and then when they try and fix one bug it then becomes a problem. Like, it's a really complicated thing to try and get rid of all of these bugs, especially on a game like this which is so big and open, and our release has never really been done like this with the way that crossplay works. So it was inevitable that there were going to be some problems when it launched, but I don't think anyone was really expecting it to be as bad as it was when it first came out. I know that there were some things to do with the XDK that wasn't really anything to do with that actual version of the game, and that was the thing that was causing a lot of the frame rate drops. But all of the crashes are crashes that I kind of experienced in the beta, and then a few weird things in terms of like torches not working or things with crafting recipes. I know on iOS like the draw distance would always be locked at like 6 chunks or something, and then the list kind of goes on and on and on with all of the different issues. And I think ultimately what it comes down to is that the game just wasn't ready, and it's kind of what I expected was going to happen when I saw how it was in the beta, and then when they pretty much released a firm release date of the 3rd of October, because that's when this console is coming out, which is bundled with it. Well, that console's out now, and so I knew that it kind of had this hard release date, and I saw how it was in the beta, and I was just thinking that there's no way they're going to be able to bring it up to the standard of the console edition, both in terms of features and in terms of the polish. And I just couldn't understand why they were releasing it in this state. And of course, when it was released, the public opinion kind of really dropped on this version. The review score, like the star rating, went down from 4 point something to I think 2.1 was the lowest it reached when it was first released. And that wasn't because the game suddenly got worse, it's because it was labeled as a beta at first. This was the beta version, and for a beta, it was fine. You expect those kind of problems in a beta, but you don't expect all of the problems that it had when it finally kind of gets released as a full product. Like, this is basically a brand new version of Minecraft. Like, this isn't some little indie game which has been kickstarted and has been released on Steam Early Access. This is Minecraft. This is like probably the biggest gaming franchise ever. Like, I know you can look at game sales of things like Mario, and I know Tetris overall has had more sales, but I think going forward, Minecraft is going to be the biggest gaming franchise, and it probably is right now. And their main version that they're pushing to be kind of like the future of what the Minecraft game is got released, and not only were there loads of features missing that were in the old version, and kind of things that were going to be the benefits, things like being able to use add-ons or custom skins, or the server browser, all of the benefits that were the cool bonuses for people on console that haven't had that stuff. A lot of that stuff wasn't even in there at launch, and I'm sure a lot of it might be coming in the future, and I'm sure there's a technical reason for why it wasn't able to be in the game yet. But I just really can't understand why they didn't just wait and didn't just get it finished and then release it. And I think it has to be tied into this console, this Xbox S, this kind of Minecraft dirt block themed console, which they announced was going to have this version, and they took a bunch of pre-orders for it. I'm sure there was a bunch of advertising budget put behind it, and I bet it just got to a point where they just felt like they're going to lose too much money if they end up delaying it, and their hands kind of got tied, and it got to a point where they're like, right, we just have to release this thing kind of no matter what state it's in. We're just going to have to put it out to the public because we really just don't have a choice. And I feel like the big mistake that was made was probably made quite a while ago. Whoever was the person that kind of made the decision to bring this version and to kind of plan the time frame, I can only feel that they either didn't understand how big of a difference there was between these two versions, or they thought that they would be able to bring the Bedrock engine version up to the console edition standard much quicker. But I feel that the mistake was made a really long time ago for when they kind of planned that this was going to be launched. and everything else has kind of just been as a result of that one mistake that was made a long time ago. And they might not be thinking it's a mistake, and maybe for them it won't be a mistake. Maybe enough time will pass from the release and people will forget about how it was when it was released, and it's going to be improved, and in the future everything's going to be happy. But I'm kind of worried that the stigma of how it was when it was released is going to last, and a lot of people that had a negative first impression of this game might bounce off and not come back, or just the perception of this being a bad version is going to stick around for a long time. And I think there are going to be certain features that are just never going to be improved, like things like the redstone. They can't fix the redstone, because if they make it so the redstone works how it does in the console edition, that's going to break it for everyone on the pocket edition, and kind of vice versa. So either way, they're going to upset half the community for things like that. And then other things like the mini games, that looks like they're never going to be coming back. And even if they did come back, it would probably be like a server version of them, and probably wouldn't be of the same quality. So there's some stuff that we are just going to have to live with. But I think a lot of stuff, even when it does get improved, I think that may be just the bad taste that a lot of the hardcore console players got when it was released is going to really kind of stick around for a really long time. So the way I'm feeling right now is I haven't actually played the version too much after kind of my first time playing it. Every time there's a new update, I go and load it up and I try and import my lovely world across just to see if it works. And sadly, it still crashes the game every time I try to bring it across, because that's kind of one of my big tests. I wanted to see, what does my lovely world in its current version look like in it. How many of the mini games still work, how much of a viable option is it going to be for me to switch over to it in the future. Because at the moment we're in a tricky limbo where the answer for a lot of people could be, well, carry on playing on the Xbox One edition for now, and then when the Bedrock engine is improved enough, you can go and switch over your world then. The thing is we really just don't have a guarantee for just how good and how quick this version is going to be. So it really just puts me off playing on the Switch or Xbox One until I can see, what the future of this new version is going to be, and kind of what other decisions they're going to be making with this version of the game, and how many of the decisions of this new version is going to trickle down to the console editions. How many changes that are in this Bedrock version, even compared to Java, is now going to be affecting kind of the console edition as it goes forward. So I think that there were a few points where Microsoft could have kind of saved themselves in this situation. I think what the answer should have been for them in the tricky situation that they were put into is that they should have just kept the name beta on it. And I think that a lot of people, kind of would give them a free pass on all of the problems if they keep the beta name, and then just kept, updating the Switch and Xbox One versions until it got to a point where, the disparity between the two versions at least wasn't as much. So, it is a side step rather than a step backwards for a lot of the console players. I think that is the solution that they should have gone for. It looks like that isn't what they're going for. They've, taken the Xbox One edition off the store. They've said, already that there's no update. So I think the next big test for them going forward is when the next round of updates is coming out for all of the console editions, because we're due one pretty soon. So when, the Xbox 360 is getting an update and getting cool new features, but then people on the Xbox One aren't, and they haven't decided to move to Bedrock yet because they don't like it for whatever reason, that's going to be the next test for Microsoft to see how much they can improve the Bedrock version before that happens. So then they're going to have like a better argument for why what they're doing is okay. So in summary of this long kind of unplanned rambling, I don't think it was great. Like I never normally like saying like, oh, it's anti-consumer, but I really think it is. I think there's no way they can really argue releasing it the way that it was, at the point when they did. I think that, I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm not saying that, they don't know what they're doing. Like, this isn't anything against the developers. You can see, how much good work they're doing and how hard they're working. This is all just a fact that it wasn't ready for whatever, business reasons they had to release it now. And then I haven't even kind of got to talking about all of the quality control issues with the way that the servers are right now and all of the monetization stuff. I keep meaning to do a video about that, but I haven't got around to it yet. So yeah, that's basically kind of what I wanted to say about. But yeah, hopefully things are going to improve in the future. I mean, they can only go up from here out, so it's just going to be, how quickly are things going to be able to get better going forward, and how is all of these changes going to affect the console editions, which is where I'm going to be staying on for now. So let me know what you think down below. Let me know kind of what you like and what you don't like about this new version. There is a load of great things about it. There are some really cool additions. The problem is that the downsides are too great for me yet, that it's not enough for me to switch to that version, so I'm kind of not feeling any of those benefits. And also for me personally, I've outright lost out because I already had access to the Bedrock version. On Windows 10, I could always just play the Bedrock version on there anyway. So I haven't gained anything from this. All I've done, all I've got is lost, 2 versions, the Xbox One and the Switch, which is kind of, I guess why I've been a little bit bitter over the entire thing. Like I've made no secret that, I've got annoyed by the way that things have been handled. So yeah, hopefully things are going to be better going forward, but I'm going to stop talking now because otherwise I'm going to ramble on forever. So hopefully you enjoyed this Let's Talk. Let me know if there is any other topics you'd like me to talk about in future Let's Talks, whether they are related to this, anything in particular you wanted to hear about, or anything else that you wanted to hear me talk about. Let me know in the comments down below. But for now, thanks for watching, and I will see you all later. Bye!